Hey Doug, how have you been?
Hey, hello. How you doing, Schneider?
I'm well. I just popped on and seen you. I'm like, what the heck? Haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, I'm filling in for I think Zach or Stephanie was supposed to do this week.
Well,
But
nice to
they
see you.
yeah. How's everything
Mm,
going? You closing in on your capstone?
Don't get me started on my capstone. Man, oh man. I was being stupid, on President's Day, messing with the terminal. And I ran some commands and I nuked my
Oh.
capstone. So, yeah.
And you had no backup of it.
No, I have a backup. It wasn't an up-to-date backup, but it's better than starting all over.
Yeah. Wow. What was
I
it
know.
easier
I
the
was
second
so mad.
time? What was it easier
What was
building it
that?
the second time?
Uh, I mean, I have my database going on, so I gotta do that crowd all over again.
Oh,
I mean, at least I got the experience, right? So,
yes. Yeah. You've done it once. Hopefully it's still fresh.
I learned an important lesson. Make sure I have up-to-date backups and don't mess with the terminal.
Yeah, I'm always very wary of the terminal, especially when it starts with sudo.
I ran a freaking I ran a forced audit because I thought it was gonna fix those vulnerabilities. Nah, it broke everything.
Mm. Well, you got it all, everything running smoothly now?
I'm playing catch up.
Okay.
Uh,
So I'm actually excited for this week to learn about deploying to the Amazon web server. We did when I did it, we used Heroku, but they no longer have a free tier. So this is all going to be new to me. I'll be learning along with you guys.
I feel like learning the AWS is going to be extremely valuable too, even outside of this, just because it's the end-demand thing right now.
Hmm.
And then
Absolutely.
go on LinkedIn and get a certificate while I'm at it.
There you go. How's everyone else doing? You guys feeling good about your capstones?
Yeah, having a little issue though with the database. I have my contact form going to the database and I can see my improvement, but all of my other databases are all connecting to one database. So whenever I put information in those databases, it's just going to that one database.
You mean like databases from different projects?
No, the same project, but I have different ones that update different things.
Yeah, gotcha.
Instead of updating to that particular database, they're all posting to one database.
Mm. And I know, are you talking about separate tables in a
Separate
database?
tables in the database, separate tables in the server. But when I go to my project itself and I put in the information and send it, they're all showing up in one database in the Beekeeper.
Hmm. But if you want to book a one-on-one, I'm happy to look at it with you.
I had booked one with Nathan and I missed it.
Oh, he would have been the perfect person for that.
Well, I was waiting for the link to go into the meeting. I was waiting for the link to go into the meeting, and I just kept on refreshing. And for some reason, it came in late and it came in my spam. I missed the booking altogether. I was like, man, I was waiting for that link so I could just log in so I could have it done by today. But I guess it wasn't meant to be.
That's too bad. Well, maybe you can make a new one.
Yeah.
Hey, Jason,
Hey guys, how's it going?
you have announcements today?
No, we're doing the capstone updates today, right?
Oh,
I think so. Yeah, I was just hoping to sit in and kind of get, if that's still going on. Just wanted to hear, how students are doing with them and kind of where they're at.
Yeah, today is supposed to be presentations or updates.
Second.
I think today is supposed to be, well, by this point, the whole database integration, if your project didn't get new.
yes, I just had Nathan and DevOps on my calendar, but that doesn't mean that capstones weren't scheduled for today.
I'm going to double check now.
See, you're out for a couple days and your computer just forgets all of your audio settings. Sorry about that. Capstones are scheduled for today. Nathan will be in for tomorrow, but to kick us off, we actually have Laiza here to talk to us about a skills-based hiring program that she has been working with Taylor with on Erie21 stuff. So we're going to kick off with that, then we'll do capstones, and then we will vote on what we want to do with the rest of class, whether that's forgot password, comments, or open study hall for capstone questions. So kick us off. I'm going to hand it over to Laiza, and then we'll roll right into capstones.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to see some familiar faces and some new faces here. I am Laiza Sumile, Syracuse Search Workforce Manager over at Center State CEO. And my job is to create pathways for job seekers to enter the tech industry. And that is through careers in code, apprenticeship, certificate programs, and many more. The reason why I'm coming here today is because you all have been working very hard in careers in code. And all that hard work has to lead to a job, a career in software development or a software adjacent role. And we want to make that process as easy, the easiest way that we can. So we are doing a hiring event. I'm going to share my screen, but I'm going to try to be quick. But I also want you to stop me at any moment and ask me questions. It can be a conversation. If you put something on the chat, I may not see it because I'm sharing my screen and I only have my laptop. But please interrupt me if you do have any questions. Start from the beginning. Oh, let me share. Bear with me. All right. Okay, I know that's what I'm sharing. Can you still see the Google slide?
You were good.
Okay, perfect. My partner in crime is Taylor Hodge over at Erie21. If you have not met her, I'm sure you will at some point. I think she visited the class at the very beginning. So her and I are leading this hiring event that's happening in the month of March. Our mission in partnership with Careers in Code, Erie21 and Center State / Syracuse Surge is that we want to provide in-demand technology training, which you're part of that already, facilitate career pathways for underrepresented individuals, empower employers to build a stronger workforce, and foster an inclusive and equitable tech community. Our core values are here, industry partnerships. So what that means, in order for us to create those pathways into these employers, we have to create those partnerships with the employers. They have been recruiting and doing outreach and hiring the same way for many, 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 many years. So we need to change their mental model and share that non-traditional students, non-traditional pathways are the new thing. It's part of the market. One second, I have an 8-year-old that is home because it is winter break. Give me 1 second. Love you too. Jeez. Okay. Thank you for being so patient. So again, we're creating those partnerships with our employers to show them that non-traditional students, non-traditional pathways is a strong pipeline for the opportunities that they have right now. Collaboration, you can have a small impact when you're one organization, but when you really collaborate with partners in the community, our impact is larger and we're going after that larger impact. Candidate success. We want everyone to be successful, and that may mean many different things for a lot of people. Success to me could look like I graduated careers in code and now I can go into a software developer role. Or it could be I graduated careers in code. I didn't like it, but you know what? Through all of that, I kind of like project management. So I'm going to go into a project management role. So whatever success is to the candidate, we want to ensure that we're providing all the supports that we can to ensure that happens. And our last one is DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's really our umbrella over everything that we do. Our whole goal is to diversify the tech industry overall. So that's kind of our mission. What's going on? All right, so when I talked about the hiring event, it is one opportunity, one strategy to help with the mission that I just stated. The reason why I say one is because we may have employers that you're not interested in, and that is okay. We have many other employer partnerships that we can make sure we make a connection, whatever that may be. So again, I just want you to think about this as one opportunity to many opportunities. The idea of the hiring event is that employers come in with very little bias. We're going to have a full day of quick prep session with our job seekers. We're going to do some one-on-one interviewing with employers and the candidates. Last time we did it, candidates and Schneider and Alba's here, we only had what, 5 to 7 minutes, and it was just too short. People couldn't ask questions. And as a job seeker, you're also interviewing the employer. So we want to make sure there's enough time for both job seeker and employers to interview each other. And then the interview style, we're still trying to figure out what that looks like depending on how many job seekers we have and employers that we have. And as always, we love to feed people. So there will be some light breakfast and lunch provided and some networking afterwards.
Laiza, can I interrupt for a quick second?
Absolutely.
Do you happen to remember the list Taylor mentioned in the meeting earlier of who's going to be there?
Yeah, so if I am not mistaken, Lockheed Martin, Upstate, Medical, Excelis, and we are still working on potentially 1 or 2 other employers. If you have an employer in mind that you've done research, please share it with us. We would love to connect with the employer overall. So this may seem very intimidating, right? Like, how do I prep for that? What do I do? What do I have to put together? And that's where we come in with what we like to call a candidate profile. And we really want employers to look at your skills, expertise, and experience. That being said, we are redacting names, dates, anything that can give anyone bias before you come in. Oftentimes, I use an example earlier. If I put my graduation date from Binghamton University, they can do quick math, right? And they can, oh, she's X years old, she may not have, I don't know, bias can just pop up, right? And vice versa, right? Max mentioned that some employers actually they like young talent that comes straight out of college and they're green and you can teach them anything. But with this hiring event that we're having, we are looking for employers that are committed to hiring from non-traditional pathways and committed to having opportunities available. And they're coming with the intention of hiring someone. It's very different than a career fair where you mingle and network and you pass the resume and you hope they get back to you. So with this, again, we create a candidate profile and I'm going to share it really. Can you see the job seeker profile? I need to
Okay.
get my messaging correct because I said candidate profile. Now this is job seeker profile. Just bear with me. So in this, we know that resumes showcase a certain skills, right? With this job seeker profile, we want you to expand upon all of the skills that you are learning in careers and code, have learned, and will learn at the end of your capstone. So these questions are going to be very familiar to you. They are part of the application process for careers and code. But now we want you to answer these questions with your technical background that you now have. Employers can then read these questions, understand your way of thinking, how you solve a problem. When you're under pressure, what is the thought process that you go through, etc. And then with the interview, that's another layer of you being able to showcase your skills, expertise, and experience. So we're putting an interview, candidate profile, short answer questions, and a resume to really showcase you in a holistic way. Let me share this really quick so you guys can take a look at it. And then with that, can I just leave it like this? Is that okay with y'all? Or do you want me to put it big again?
No, that
That's
works.
fine. Okay. So with this candidate profile, oh, it came back up. We're asking employers to also do the same thing. As I mentioned before, we're having employers that are committed to hiring from our programs and have open positions, at the very least one. And they also fill out an employer profile. So this is where they dive a little deeper into what the role is, why should we go work for them? Again, as I mentioned, the same way they're interviewing you, you're interviewing them. You get to know their industry, some of the job details, if they're on a bus line, if they're remote, if you have to go in every day, what the day in the life of a software developer or software technician at Lockheed Martin may be very different than the life of a software developer at Upstate Medical. And then they upload their job descriptions, some of the benefits. We really want to pull out the things that they don't post on their website or the things that they don't talk about. So I always say I like to eat. So if there's a day in the week that the employer feeds me, that's pocketing my money, money in my pocket, I don't have to go out and buy lunch. I enjoy those things. Or as a mother, do they have a stipend that they give out for childcare, or do they have a childcare partnership with an organization? Or are they flexible? Like I have to leave at a certain time to pick up my son from school. So those type of benefits, they will be showcasing on this employer profile. And then I also challenge people to ask those questions during the interview, right? I read on your website that, you know, XYZ, can you elaborate on that overall? Some of the supports that they may have, mentors, development. Development is very important to me. That is a question that I will ask in an interview. What does development look like? What does, you know, if I'm here 2 years, what kind of leadership workshops you guys have? Tell me about your leadership now. Did they start at the very bottom, or did you hire them from outside, or et cetera? So whatever is special to you, you definitely want to be able to pull that from their profile and or ask during the interviews. I can also share this so you have an understanding of some of the information that employers are going to put on their profile. Let me go back really quick. I'm kind of going fast, but we are preparing, please stop me anytime, job seekers and employers. So on the job seekers end, today we just went, we had a quick workshop where we kind of went through the candidate profile, checked in on the job seekers that have been filling it out. We talked a little bit about what information should be in for the specific questions. The next thing that we're going to do is employers are going to fill out the employer profile. We're going to review those as a group. We're going to do some research on their website. I'm interested in diversity, equity, and inclusion. If I go on your website and I see no diversity, equity, and inclusion, I will ask that during the interview. Then we're going to go over that job description so that we are going into these interviews prepared. And then we're going to do we're calling it a candidate prep lunch and learn, but this is, we're going to get together and we're going to do some mock interviewing as a group. So we're going to pull some employers in, I think 2, where hypothetically I'm interviewing with the employer, but then my whole cohort and team is right next to me and I'm going to answer some questions. And then we're going to discuss as a team, all right, what did Liza do right? You know, she's also in careers and code with me. We actually learned XYZ. Why didn't you talk about that? Here's how I would put it, etc. So that we're in a supportive environment and we help each other prepare for those interviews, because they can be very intimidating, especially for tech, right? Like we can talk about personal stuff probably, but when you start talking about coding and programs that you know and softwares and platforms, that's a whole nother world that we want to make sure that we prepare you in. And then for employers, again, they're filling out their employer profile. We're also walking them through the candidate profile and saying, here are the things, here's how you can assess their skills. We're not looking at, oh, she's nice or he's nice. Yeah, that's great. But we're really focusing on skills, expertise, and experience. So we're coaching them through on how to read a candidate profile, how to assess it. The same as for the hiring event, we're also going to coach them how to assess skills, expertise, and experience. We're also going to help you kind of, there's going to be a matrix, right, that we're going to provide for you. And we're going to train you on that. You're going to check things off that are most important to you. And then you're going to be able to grade the employers 1 through 3, for example. Number 1 is Lockheed, or number 3 is Lockheed because I don't want to work for a defense company that does government stuff, right? For example, I want to work at Upstate. I know it's, you know, about healthcare. I'm helping people in that sense, whatever it may be. So we're going to be able to help you rank your employers based on what's most important to you. I
want to interrupt just for a second.
Yep.
Even though that candidate profile review meeting was already today, it is
We will
not
host another
too
one.
late to get
No.
in on this one. So
Yeah.
the deadline for getting your candidate profile review in, that job seeker profile that Liza already submitted in the chat, that's the first link she posted, that isn't due until this time next week.
Yeah.
And so that's why I wanted to bring Liza into this, is this is an awesome opportunity to not only get practice filling out what a job application would look like, but seeing every step of the process with real employers. And so this is both a opportunity in a safe environment to kind of have more exposure to employers, but at the same time, also getting a chance to learn, right? And opening it up and having some of those initial hurdles with those employers clear. So I just wanted to throw that out there. This is not a careers in code requirement. And you will have the career module coming up with Laura in a week and a half, and all of that's still coming. But this is an awesome Erie21 program that you guys are all eligible for. And if the times don't work with work, you know, we
We'll
can
figure
work
it
with
out.
you. We
Mhm.
can figure that out. But
Yeah.
this is an awesome opportunity for you guys. So like I said, it's not a requirement. There's already one student who has started to go through this. There are 2 other careers in code graduates that are also going through this program through from previous cohorts. But I just wanted to bring Laiza in to expose you to the opportunity, just in case you were interested in it, because I can bet you if I were in your shoes right now, I would definitely be going through that.
And as Max mentioned, it is due next week. Taylor and I are willing to make an hour work for everybody that's interested, and we can hop on and kind of go through the candidate profile in detail. This is what we're here for, to connect you to these opportunities. So please take full advantage of it. And if it's not for you, that's okay. Please still connect with us. There are other opportunities, other employers that couldn't commit to the time commitment, but that do have opportunities.
Schneider, I see your hand up. Do you have a question?
Yeah, since you're here again, Liza, how do
Yes.
you go about doing the resume stuff again?
They're redacting the resume.
Yeah.
So what I would do, you can go 2 ways. You can either, where you have your name, you can just put name, and then you can put, for dates, you can put dates. So you can put like placeholders, or you can highlight your name and every information that will identify you, and just make the background black, but then download it as a PDF, okay? Because if it's a Word, they can highlight and just put it transparent.
And you should always be, always be submitting your resume as a PDF. If I ever get a
Yes.
Word document sent to me, I will come and slap you around. Never,
Yes.
ever
Yeah.
submit a resume as a Word document or a Google Doc
Yes.
or anything else. Always PDF.
You remember
Yes.
my Google Doc?
I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing it in Word or Pages or Google Docs or whatever, but God help you, a recruiter will just skip right over your resume if it's in a Word doc.
Yeah. And if you're, if you want feedback on your resume, sure, send it via Word doc. We'll make some comments, whatever that may be. But if you're submitting it as a final PDF, please.
I should start taking screenshots of resumes that go wrong when someone sends me a Word doc and like I don't have the font installed or it was set up for Windows formatting and it just
It's all off.
you really don't want to know how bad it can go wrong if it's not a PDF.
Yeah.
Pet peeve, sorry. Any other questions for Laiza? Again, this is optional for you guys to go through. The deadline to getting that candidate profile review is not until next Tuesday. I will also post the upcoming dates for the 2 meetings coming up, including that lunch and learn and the time with the employers. I'll post that in the student channel.
Mhm.
It is optional. You are not required to go through this, but I saw Laiza and Taylor posting about this, and I'm like, wow, this is really great for all of our students. So I highly encourage you guys to go through it. Laiza posted her email. She's also in the Hack Upstate Slack if you have any
Hey.
questions there. And you can shoot me questions as well, or if you want me to review your resume, that is totally on the table as well. The great part about this is that Liza and Taylor bring their own unique perspectives to this, but there is a reason why it's called Careers in Code, right? So we want to focus on that. We are all working towards getting you a job. So whoever you feel most comfortable reaching out to, or reach out to multiple people, right? Everyone's going to have different feedback for you, different perspective, all of that stuff. So
Yes.
use these resources while you have them. We're coming up to the end of the program. We do not go away at the end of the program, but the timing of this just segues you right into practice with employers in a safe environment. Really great opportunity for you here. Any questions? Oh yeah, go first, Schneider.
The upstate thing, what's software about that? Like, what would the software side of things be for upstate?
Go ahead.
What would what?
The software that Upstate uses. So software, Upstate is, I think, the largest employer in Syracuse. If not, they're in the top 3.
Yep.
There is a ton of software that they use. So they use Epic, which is a big electronic medical records or electronic health records. It's normally EMR or EHR. That's one thing. They have a bunch of internal software for, hey, we got to do payroll and billing and hour tracking. We've got to provide IT services for, every single doctor and every single hospital room. There's a computer that needs to stay up and running. So while there is a lot of off-the-shelf software that Epic provides for, the interface the doctor is actually working with, when you're an employer of a certain size, there is always going to be a custom kind of software that has to get built for a hospital of that size to run smoothly. So we talked to Upstate a little over a year ago about the apprenticeship program. And they had some old interfaces that were built in Cold Fusion. And Cold Fusion hasn't been used for probably a decade now, but it was still running. Those systems were still happening. So they were looking for an apprentice who could come in, learn Cold Fusion, and then update that to a more modern web application. So there are all different kinds of opportunities. And if you're thinking, I don't really want to work at a hospital, well, it's a hospital that has kind of almost every department that you can think of, right? There's HR and data management and billing and time roll, all different kinds of stuff going on there. And so that's a great opportunity, right? At this hiring event to say, hey, what's this job description actually doing? There's so many different things that happen in a hospital. What would I actually be doing? And I think that's one of my top 3 most important questions that I ask an employer. Hey, I read your job description. Here's proof that I read the job description because I picked out these pieces of it. But what am I actually doing, right? That job description is something that either HR wrote or someone in hiring just, checked off on. Could be 5 years old, 10 years old, could have a layer of dust on top of it. So this is a great opportunity to say, hey, what am I actually doing in this job role? What tools are you using? What languages are you using? What percentage of my time would be spent in meetings? Do I have access to some senior developers that I can get mentorship from? What's the next steps, right? Because employers love to ask you, where do you see yourself in 5 years or 10 years? I like to ask that same question in reverse. Where could I be in 2 years from now? What's that growth pattern look like? How many people end up getting up there, right? You guys have heard me say this before. I'm sure Liza would agree. It's about a conversation, not an interrogation. So if your interview, even if it's a group interview, feels more like a conversation and you're asking follow-up questions and now all of a sudden the nerves of the interrogation of an interview go right out the window because you feel more comfortable because you're just asking questions and going back and forth. So lot of nerves there that you cannot get over unless you just try. And I was talking to a senior developer at OpenHat, and he was saying how he just needed to go out. He hadn't interviewed in years, And he was like, I don't want to leave my company, but I haven't interviewed in so long. I just felt like I had to go out and get a practice interview in. And so that's also very important, and what this program is set up for so well, because you don't need to do a whole tirade on what careers in code is and what you're learning. And they're working with us because they want you guys on their payroll. And so this is just an opportunity to get exposure.
Yes to all that.
Any other questions for Liza?
All right.
Awesome.
Well, you can email me, Slack me, and if you're not ready, that's okay. You can still come and participate in the workshops just to get some practice, to understand the process overall. So yeah, I hope to see more of y'all in the next few weeks. And
Thank
good
you, Liza.
luck on your capstone. You're all gonna do great. And when is graduation? Because I love coming to them and just hearing all these ideas, cool ideas.
It is the middle week in March, March 16th
March 16th.
to Thursday. We'll be at 6 o'clock at Lemoyne, where it has been in the past.
I'm blocking it. Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for
I'll
coming
see
in. I
you
appreciate
guys.
it.
Okay, bye.
Thanks, Liza.
Sorry for the surprise drop in there, but I attended the first meeting for that, and I was like, oh my God, this is such a great opportunity for you guys to go through it. And like Liza said, even if you're not ready to throw your name in the ring and you can just sit in on those meetings, right? You don't have to fill out the candidate profile. If you want to just show up and hear what other employers are saying, you can be a spectator, right? You can audit that whole process. But while it's always hard to do that and get it started, the candidate profile is really set up to showcase, hey, I have a resume and I have maybe a cover letter, but that's it. That is all you get to do to represent yourself to an employer. And so what Liza and Taylor have worked on is saying, hey, we've got employers that are quite literally coming to the table and volunteering several hours of their time to get to know you guys, right? And so that's why that job candidate profile is so important, because it's really tailored towards, hey, let's look at what you guys have unique to careers in code, right? Let's showcase some of that, so when an employer gets to know you, it isn't just that resume where you only have a couple bullets about careers in code, and it's not just that generic cover letter. They're actually having a full application from you guys where they can get to know you a little bit more and see where you're shining. So encourage everyone to do that. Liza posted the links in the Zoom chat. I recommend you copy and paste that down or open that in another tab just so you have it if you're interested in it. It should only take you like 30 minutes to fill out that form. If you are interested in going through the program but not actually filling it out and kind of just sitting in, shoot Liza a message and she can get you more information on that. And I will also post the upcoming dates for what the next steps are. If you're able to make those meetings. The last one will be in person, and I think it runs from 9 to 1, but I will post all of those dates. And then if you have any questions, reach out to me or Taylor or Liza, and we'll try and get back to you.
Quick question. Do you mind posting that link also on Slack? Because I don't specifically see it on here.
Yeah, Zoom is weird that they don't, if you drop out of the meeting and come back, they don't show you the message history, which is really annoying. So I just put that in there. And I will also put Liza's email and her Slack. And any questions pop up, feel free to reach out to us. With all of that said, do we have any questions before we dive into Capstone review? Okay,
I have one question.
go
Am
for
I
it, Doug.
here on the right week?
I believe so.
Okay.
It's week
Uh,
21.
week 20. Yes, you're here.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Nathan is coming in tomorrow for the second half of DevOps. This is the only week in the entire curriculum that we're splitting it. And then on top of that, we were off yesterday. So I get one more day with you guys, and you guys are going to get to choose what we do in the second half of class of what we focus on. But we're going to do our Capstone check-in first, and then you get turned over to Nathan tomorrow for full stack deploys and learning a little bit more about DevOps. He might do a little bit more of Git with you. He's talking about automating deploys. He has some stuff with security monitoring and testing. And then the last day that you have with him, which is next Thursday, he has kind of earmarked for just working together in a groups, working through your deploys. A reminder that your Capstone is not a requirement to get fully deployed. You can demo it just right on your laptop with localhost and the way we've been doing it so far. But next week, you will be learning about how to deploy the blog project that we've been working on for so long now. So that's what's coming down the pipeline. And Doug is your TA for the week. Latonia will be back next week. And then the career week with Laura, which is 3/6 to 3/9, is in person. I do not have a room number for you yet, but that will be on Lemoyne's campus. So if you guys can make it, try and shoot for in person. Laura's offer still stands. If you get all the career modules done in Canvas and submit all of those assignments, you do get to have that week off. You do not need to attend class. However, I would still encourage you to do it. Laura is an awesome career coach, has a lot of great information to share, and that's just a great opportunity to learn from her. You can tune in remotely if you need to, just encouraging everyone to make it in person if you can, 3/6 to 3/9. Okay, let's dive into our Capstone check-in. I have randomized all of the names. So instead of going in the same order we have been going in, we have a new order tonight. Kalai, you are the lucky one to get us started. Oh, and before you go, one more thing. This Capstone check-in, we really want to focus on, hey, your user interface is important and we want to see where that's at, but we also want a taste of how much of the backend do you have done? Do you have your server.js set up? Do you have your SQLized database connected? What features are you shooting for? Did you get your login screen working? Or maybe you decided login isn't what you're going to do. You're going to focus on a CRUD operation of maybe a piece of data in your database. It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be finished, but the backend is always kind of the man behind the curtain, right? It's hard to know how much is actually happening in the backend. So just touch on that a tiny bit when you do your Capstone check-in. It's okay to say, hey, I don't have my backend started yet, but if you are in that boat, I want to see you schedule in a one-on-one with me either this week or early next week. Or I want you to say, hey, I'm going to sit down week 19, day 3. I'm going to go through those videos and I'm going to get my backend set up, because that is a requirement of graduation. I'm happy to help you guys kind of slingshot you forward there, but name of the game here is taking everything that we've learned from Blog Project and trying to apply it into your own Capstone. And if you're struggling with that, that's totally fine, but reach out to me, reach out to Caitlin, reach out to any of the TAs or any of the instructors, and we can help you there. With all of that said, I will pass it back over to you. Sorry, Kalai, go for it.
So I hope everyone can see my screen. It's all over. So okay, so this is going to be my front end. So has multiple pages. So my project mainly focus on the emergency department and how the patient like we can if we want to go to ER, we can check in from home and we can know the actual emergency room status from home. That was my major plan of this project. So this is my front end. So I have like multiple pages. One is mainly for the hospital administration. So far I have a hospital administration page alone fully done. I still need to make patient page separately and the EMS page, like a 911 page separately. But this is my front end and this is my back end. So I worked with Max yesterday to get my login working with my email. So it's not secret username and password, so it's okay for me to show here. So it's just my random email. So it's, yeah. So I think I can log in and then, so this is going to be my full page. So this is going to be the hospital admin page. So they can go to the ER status and they can see like, what's going on actually inside the ER. So this is mainly used by the hospital admin. So they can see what is exactly going on the ER status. And then this is going to be the 911. So the hospital admin can see like what's going on with the 911, how many patients they have, and their status and stuff. So this is going to be the outpatient status. So in the waiting room, they can see like, what's the patient status and whether, their pulse rate, everything will be in the record. So based on that, the priority number can change based on, the seriousness of the patients and stuff. And they can even know the check-in time and estimated wait time can also change based on the priority number. With this, and so this will be like the overall thing. So I still needs to work on a lot of CSS, and so I still need to make the back end for this one, like the database mainly for this one, like the like when they click the plus button, so the patient name can be updated in the back end and all the detail will be get updated in the system for the admin. And then with this, just gonna.
You have to can't. Oh yeah, you got
I
it.
still have the Postgres. This is like a Postgres, like where my login page is actually ready for like whoever. I just right now I just have one email ID for the login, so I can put multiple email ID and stuff. And still I need to make the database for my my patient when they get added and those things. And I just need to make 2 or 3 more pages and update my CSS. So I still have the problem doing CSS in React, but overall, I think that's okay. So thank you so
Beautiful.
much. Yeah.
This is a great example of this is where we want you to be, right? We've got one full stack CRUD operation happening with login, right? That met the final requirement. So now the race is on to say, all right, now I've got all my Capstone requirements done. Where do I want to focus in next, right? And Kalai, I think you already have your next steps outlined, right? Hey, I need to make it so I can hit the plus button, I can add the new patient in, and then I can update that patient's information, right? Those are our next steps in addition to the styling and all of that stuff. So would love for all of you guys to identify what are your next steps as well. Because we finished that requirements, right? Just because we got login working doesn't mean, or some full stack thing working doesn't mean that we're done with it, right? And so really, really awesome job there, Kalai. Keep up the good work. You're right on target for where you need to be. And now it's just more fun to go, oh yeah, we did kind of already do that in blog. Where's that code? Let me go look that up. So keep up the good work. Good job.
Thank you, Max. Thank you.
Alba, I have you up next. You aren't in the #1 spot, but you got moved to #2.
Max,
Yes.
do I have access to set up a breakout room?
You will now.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yep, you're good.
Thank you.
So you guys have already seen my capstone I haven't made any changes to that, but I have my back end, all of the different databases done to go into my beekeeper. I have my contact working, the contact form. If I put any information in, it is showing in the back end in contacts. And all of my other ones are showing. Only problem I've been having is they are all going to pantry updates. So even if I go to new pantry and put information in, is in the back end or in the databases is showing in the pantries. The same thing with the sign up, the same thing with the food bank updates and everything. Everything shows up to pantry updates. I did a meeting, I scheduled a meeting with Nathan, but I was not able to make the meeting because I was waiting for a link for the Zoom call. And for some reason it didn't come and it came in late and it came into my spam. So I wasn't able to make the meeting. So I'll try to schedule another one to see if he could help me with that. Because they are posting, they are showing in the beekeeper. They're just all showing to the pantry updates.
And now you guys have the fun of, hey, we've got practice debugging and we're reading our error messages. But what happens when there isn't an error message, right? What happens when it just doesn't go where we want it to go? And so you guys you will continue to get more practice with that of saying, all right, is it doing the right thing on the front end? If it is, how do we know that, right? How do we add console logs in there? Okay, where does it go next? Goes to the back end. Does it go into the right endpoint? Okay, now that we made it to the back end, is that endpoint using the right table? Okay, if it's using the right table, is the model right, right? Maybe we forgot to change the table name in the model and that's causing the issue. Okay, if all of that's right, is it some issue of the front end sending the data into the back end wrong? Okay, if all of that's working, maybe it's an issue that we can find in Beekeeper itself. As we continue to add more and more complexity, there are more places that it can go wrong. But at the same time, we have more practice with them. So when it does go wrong, hopefully we can go through that process and find it. So awesome work here. You've got all of your requirements done. Now it's just a matter of saying, all right, I've got this information in the database. What do I need to update in my front end, or going from there? But no surprise. Awesome job, Alba. Keep up the good work. Torres is not on the call. Naj, I have you up next. Are you able to screen share?
Yep, give me 1 second. I just have to log on from Zoom and not my phone. One second.
I'm gonna come back to you once you switch your devices over.
Okay.
Brandon.
All right.
There you are.
It's not letting me share.
What's the error message?
Screen sharing has failed to start. Please try again later. Error code 105035.
That is Artrell's favorite error message.
Yeah.
What you have to do is go to the Zoom US in the menu bar right next to the Apple in the top left. Go down to check for updates, and hopefully there is an update available for you. You'll need to reboot Zoom, but it will only take like 2 minutes, and then I'll come back to you.
You said click on the Zoom US check for updates.
Yep.
Okay.
I have no idea why this has been broken for so long, but it
one by
seems to
one.
be very intermittent. Yeah, it's just like so I'll come back to you.
Gotcha.
Patrick, I have you up next.
Patrick's in the breakout room with Doug right now.
Okay, we are on a roll. Artrell.
All right. I can't screen share either.
Oh,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh,
I can screen share. I think I can. I was just messing around. All right. Let's give it a shot. All right. Yeah, I got a
And
lot more work
if
to
one
do.
more person gets a no screen share, I'm going right for the whiskey bottle. We're gonna make my last class for 2.5 weeks more interesting.
That's great. All right. I got a lot more work to do, obviously, but things are calming down. I started my new job today, so that's one less stressful thing I have to focus on.
Congrats.
Thank you. Thank you. So that's a good thing. But yeah, so I have, this is what the web version kind of looks like. It's called Coupon Clip. And the whole premise, for those who don't know about it, is for you to be in a store, and based on the store you're in, have access to coupons that will work for your store. So the premise is to work wherever you are in the US. So say you're in Wegmans, you can say, okay, I'm in a Wegmans store, this location, what coupons can I use? Be it from nationwide coupons or from the store itself. So that's the premise of it. So I have one of the hyperlinks working. I gotta add more to it. I gotta incorporate coupons, categories. Don't have my login working just yet, or the search feature per se. I have a footer, so I have a hyperlink for an about. I gotta tweak it, so it takes to a page. I gotta clean this up, and I don't necessarily need all of this at the bottom of the about page, so I gotta work on that. I started my back end. I came into a little error, so I stopped. But I did have the error code like, Houston, we have a problem if nothing working. I have to work on an actual database. I have some premises for that, but I need a 101 to get that going. But so that's basically where I am. I need some more styling, but I have something.
Where are you headed in your back end? What's the one feature that you said, hey, this is where I'm going to focus on getting my back end working?
The whole coupon function. I guess a database of coupons to pull what coupons I am based on where I am geographically.
So that's what I would say focus in on in the next week or so, right? So
Right.
get your NPM init going, get your server.js working, get your SQLize linked up, and then focus on just that first model. Yeah. Oh, perfect. You're already on the right track. So focus on how do I get my back end now integrated with the front end, right? How's that fetch working? Once it fetches, how does that data show up on the page? We don't need a full admin interface. All we want to do is say, hey, we did all of this work already to get your back end set up. Is it working in the front end? Are the two talking together? So you're almost at that requirement, right? You've done all of the hard setup work. Now it's just a matter of saying, hey, does it show up in the front end? Can I see that data?
Right. So I got the 3001 going. At least I did before I got the error. I didn't hit refresh to see if this would change, but at least I know I got that going.
Yep. And like I said, you've got the hardest part done, right? Getting the SQLize files and the DB and all of that set up. That's the hard part. So now that you've got that done, now it's just a matter of getting the front end and the back end talking to each other.
Okay. And my screen share works, so that's a plus there too.
Good work. Moving on. And I have not forgotten about everyone. I will circle back to you. Brian, I have you next.
All right. Make sure mine will work. Desktop one.
Good to go.
All right. Okay, so basically how mine was last night, this is starting out pretty underwhelming. But yeah, so this is the login page. So I have all the functionality set up. I have a login, What you're seeing now is the posts or the games that will be showing differently. I'm kind of working on the look of it and everything. But yeah, there's a login that you can log in. All right. And then of course you can go to the game editor after you're logged in. This is what the page will ideally look like. You know, previously I pretty much had all my functionality on one page. So what I'm doing now is just like getting all the full stack stuff to work individually, and then I will like kind of put them on the page. So but yeah, right now you saw the login works. So there's users, there's user table, and also have a post table. I'll just do a quick example. Hopefully this works. All right, and then posting. All right, yep, and here's the game here. Now, ideally, like ultimately how this would work is all these games would be showing up on the game editor page. You know, but yeah, I've had to change like quite a bit of my functionality and stuff just to adapt to the database before I had some real like jerry rig stuff going on. So so yeah, that's what I've got so far. And yeah.
Awesome work. And you are I know you had your filter functionality up and running with local storage. Now you get to do the filters in the database, which are actually easier to do in the database, but then more steps in order to get those filters working. So once you get your UIs kind of merged back down the way you want it, feel free to schedule a one-on-one with me and we can start going through some of the filtering criteria. We used the where keyword when we did our sequelize.findAll. That's what you'll take advantage of to get the games to filter down. But if you want help with that, feel free to schedule the one-on-one. Obviously you met the capstone requirements. So like, yay, you're done. And then you look at it and you're like, this does not feel done. But that's okay, right? So focus on your priorities, focus on getting it looking right. And then if you want to have a little help on the filter functionality, we can certainly do that in a one-on-one.
All right, sounds like a plan. Thank you.
Good work. Schneider, you're up. I can't tell if Schneider is sitting really still or his internet dropped.
Can you hear me at least? Because my camera's being dumb.
I can hear you.
Yeah, my camera is literally on Zoom, but it's not on my laptop.
That's fine. You should be able to still share your screen. That's all that's important.
Okay, so right off the bat, I'm not meeting capstone requirements. I had a little oopsie happen to me on President's Day. Lesson learned there. This is all I've got pretty much left off from what I recovered on GitHub desktop. I left off at the past capstone check-in. So I gotta go download all the junk I need to set up the server, get that whole thing set up. I want to work on the CSS, but that's not even a priority right now. I'm just gonna try focus on getting the database set up. But I guess I'm happy that my links work. Like this links to there, so that's nice. This links to, you know, all the links are linking, so that's great. I just gotta do my database. So yeah. As for help, yeah, I know I scheduled the one-on-ones. I am gonna take on your recommendation of just going back on those videos and, you know, setting it up alongside there, because I like to try and do it myself before I cave in.
Beautiful. And the other thing I'll say on that, other than getting the database set up, is reminder to focus on just one UI screen, right? Because a lot of your capstones have lots of different screens, and obviously for full functionality, you would want to get all of them to work. But when you're working on getting the main capstone requirements met, it's a good idea to say, all right, I'm going to get just the cars page working, and I'm going to figure out what's the basic car information that I need to have in my database. Yeah, my ERD may have had 4 different tables, and I want to work my way up to that. But to just get started, I want the car name, the manufacturer, and a picture of it to show up, right? that's going to check off your full stack requirement. And then from there, you can always add to it. But when you think about it, kind of prioritizing it down, narrowing it in, breaking down those engineering tasks, when you think about it as one table, one API endpoint, one model in the back end, and one page, one component in my front end, it becomes much easier to complete all of those different steps. So I've got
gotcha.
faith in you. I know you'll get the back end set up. I know you'll schedule one-on-ones if you need it. But focus in on just that one slice of your functionality. And then from there, that you get the relief of having that done and being able to focus on whatever you want.
Thank you for that. Heard.
Good work. Jordan, you're next. Oh, and your camera's working again, Shane. Well, it was. Oh, you're on mute.
I keep clicking on and off and it's doing something.
Jordan, you're on mute as well. I can read lips, but not that well.
There we go. Sorry. All right. So I'm gonna screen share.
It would actually be really funny if you stayed on mute and I did a bad lip reading YouTube video.
That'd actually be pretty good. So hold on, I gotta move this out of the way. I hate everything because I'm working on one screen right now. Okay. All right. So far, this is what I have. I still just have to fix the schedule, but literally helping Patrick today with his capstone project, I figured it out in a fit of being upset with the computer, like how the F do I do this? And I finally figured out how to do my schedule. So that'll be done like in less than 10 minutes. So far, Max has helped me to start creating a chat. At first I didn't really understand that, but now after him showing me how to do it, I really do understand it. But not so much like with the login. Like the login I find a little bit more intriguing, so I still have to do a login so that user 1 and user 2 are different. Wait a minute, are you talking right now and I muted you again?
No, you're good.
Okay, because I remember last time.
You don't have the authority to mute me, so don't worry.
Oh shit. So channel 1 and channel 2. Right now I'm just having I'll be honest, like I thought this was going to be pretty easy. Right now I can really only get Retro Crush's API and their permission for it. So I'm trying to figure out like another streaming service that I could use for free that would allow me to embed them on my site, I guess I should say. I don't really like watch too much other stuff other than that. So there's like that Toku Shoutsu and like a couple other ones, but those ones aren't as readily available. So I do have to figure out how to get a hang of those. But yeah, so far, I've been able to successfully link a video, but once I'm able to like, do the thing, it won't be no more Rick rolling people. I'll be able to actually have like my live stream up and running.
Nice. Do you have your backend at least started in the files and SQLize and all that stuff?
Yes, I do. I apologize. It's somewhere over here. So basically, you helped me to start that just the other day, and I'm not exactly sure where I put it, but it is somewhere.
It's your right window.
Yeah, there we go.
There you go. Cool.
But yeah.
So you've got your model set up, you've got all the hard work done, right? It's linked to the database. Now we want to focus in on, I need a post endpoint to do my comment.create, and then I need to get my front end working both with use state and a fetch. And so that's where I would say focus in on, even though you want to get the schedule done, and even though you want to be able to get other streaming services working, that's going to check off the requirement box for, hey, I need something full stack. And if you can post a comment, even if you don't have login working.
I didn't want to share again. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine. You're still sharing.
I don't want to share.
Oh, that the getting comments working will check off your full stack requirement, and then that kind of alleviates all the stress of being able to say, oh, I can get other streaming services, or I can load in my schedule and do all of that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And then it's up to you as well, because you can say, well, my schedule should be in the database. Now that I've got comments working, I could also make a new schedule model and have all of that information pop in from there as well. So something to think about. Or you could say, you know what, I just need something to demo. I'm going to hard code it into the front end, and no one's going to know the better. Which is also totally fine. We just want to shoot for that one full stack concept going on. Once you have that done, stress is off and you can figure out the other streaming services and all of that stuff.
Okay.
So you're on the right track, just a little bit behind, but hopefully you can get that comment working, and then you'll be good to go.
Okay, awesome. And you said to focus on front end and use state, sending a fetch request, and what else?
It's going to do use state fetch to a post to the backend endpoint, and the backend endpoint is going to do the comment.create. And you can follow that same user flow from the post editor in the blog project.
Okay.
Right? Because we fill out a form that makes the fetch request. The fetch request includes the state information. The state information goes to the post request in the backend. The backend takes that information out of the body, throws it into the database. The database gets all the comments or whatever else and sends it back to the front end. And then the front end takes that and updates the state to show that newly posted comment or post.
Okay, and that's week 19, right? We started that.
That is this. I think you're mostly done week 19, day 3 at this point, because you've got the basic file set up. So you're advancing on to week 20, days 1 through 4, where we did all of that, but you're closer to the day 1 side.
Cool. Thank you.
And a reminder that, while you would want to get authentication working on your, a final project, just getting comments working is going to check off the box. So even though that we did log in class, it's not a requirement to get it working. But it's good practice if you want to get that working.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Jennifer, I have you up next.
Had a feeling. I'll show you my code. I have nothing on the screen when I try to bring it up. I don't know what's up with that. It was working. So I'm frustrated there, and it says I don't have any problems. But whatever, we'll find out.
Oh, we all have problems.
I got lots of problems, but that's another day.
Oh, okay, you're pulling it up. Let me see. I'm gonna just try a quick request remote, and let's just see if the problem is easily fixable. Only because, oops, that's not what I meant to do. Control C, up, enter. So a good reminder for everyone, because we can all use debugging experience. Can you bring that Chrome window over to the screen that you're sharing?
I sure can.
Oftentimes we see no errors in the terminal and we get frustrated because we're like, all right, well, it says there are no errors and I'm getting a white screen. Another place that we need to check is the console in the browser, because it might not be an issue with our code until we go to run our code, and that's when that will manifest.
So let's see.
Okay, so I'm gonna pop open. Come on, Zoom. There we go. Your console, and here we've got administrator is not defined, and it's telling us it's on administrator 11. So I'm gonna head back over to your front end and go to administrator. And here we're exporting administrator, but we haven't made that component yet. So we're just going to make a quick placeholder on that. It's just going to return out an empty div and save. And now we refresh and we've got a different issue. It says it can't find the home. So let's try and go to the empty slash. Ooh, okay, we got lots of errors. App 26.
For another time.
We'll do one more, see if that fixes it, and if not, I'll just let you talk through what you have going on in the code. App 26 is right here.
Oh, yeah, I have home there.
You've got the empty slash for home. What I don't know is why is it mad about your user? Your user's an empty file.
Yeah.
So let me comment that out for now. And refresh everything. And now we've got one final problem, home, hopefully the final problem, home 34. So remember to test frequently, right? When things start going wrong, don't plow through, don't keep going. Look at the error, try and figure out what's going on there. So we've got an issue where first name isn't working because it's not getting the user information right. So I like to just comment everything out until we get our screen back, and then we can go through those issues. So if we refresh here, now we're back up and running. We've got some other issues going on here, but we're back up and running. So I'm going to pass it back over to you.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I have a lot to do still, but I am happy to say that I've got a lot of the front end I figured out, not done. My favorite part is that I'm connected to the database. I've got my server, user, post, and database all set here.
Beautiful.
So that was my goal. I'm glad to have gotten that far.
Nice.
So my next steps are very obvious. I have to take care of all those errors. So that's what I've got, but it's coming
Good
along.
progress. I'm curious. I'm going to snoop in your beekeeper and look in here. So we don't have any data in here. So what I would suggest focusing on, and I think you're going to get here anyway with those errors, I would load up 2 or 3 rows in here and focus on, once the rows are in here, what do I need to do not only in my back end, but also in my front end code to make it update in my home.
Right.
So you're already on the right track because you've got your animals in state. So what we want to do is do that fetch request in the use effect. And when the page loads and we get the animals from the database, we want to set them into the state. So that's where I would focus next, is once you get those pesky errors out of your way, you got all the hard work done. Now let's throw some data in the database and see if we can make it show up on the homepage. And that's where, if you get that last one done, you'll get that check mark, you'll have all your Capstone requirements done. And then from there, you can get all the additional functionality and, you know, create a new animal form and all of that stuff working down the road.
Okay, thank you very much.
So close to the finish line. Keep it up. Exona.
Can you hear me? Hi.
You're good.
All right, so I'm gonna share my screen. So I did build I hate this thing at the top so much. All right, so I did build my back end. So I did my beekeeper database here, and these are the tables that I have for that. I did not make any fetch calls yet, or because I was going through all the videos of last week and just got overwhelmed. So
it's not like there are a lot of them or anything.
No, not just 5, but
It's not like they're 3 hours each or anything.
Right. And it's not like, like they're divided or anything, right? So yeah, so I got overwhelmed and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna step away, rubber ducking, and then come back later to it. And so what I pretty much have is, let me see. So this is how my layouts are going to be. I have my sidebar, my nav bar, and this is where all the search content it's going to be in. So far, I have my login still and my create an account page as well. I still have to build a filter page, as well as my front page, my home page, which really shouldn't take me long, but that's pretty much what I have so far. Like I said, majority of the layout, it's either going to be with the nav bar and sidebar together, or it's going to be just the nav bar at the top, just like this. So and my project is going to require my own algorithm that I will definitely need help with. So other than that, that's pretty much all I have.
Nice. Love it all coming together. You're using your outlets well for the templates and all of that stuff. So love the advanced routing going there. UI is looking great. All the guts are coming together. And love seeing that you've got, your back end all set up. So it's just that final step of, hey, just got to do the fetch and make that info show up. So good work there.
Thank you.
You and Brian both have some filtering. And so whoever gets to that first, you guys can share your code and be like, well, this is how I got it working. And so whoever beats me to the one-on-one, that's totally fine. But definitely encourage you guys to share your code with each other as well, right? So if you guys have seen something that you really like from someone else's Capstone check-in so far, don't be afraid to like ping them, right? Shoot them a message and be like, hey, how did you do that? Or hey, I don't want to steal your code, but could you just give me a little snippet of that because I got stuck there. And use your back channel in Slack, right? Post little words of encouragement for each other, or don't be afraid to screenshot something, right? And be like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I finally got this working. Look, my fetch request is showing up in state, right? Or you might feel like you've got a stupid question that you don't want to ask me, you don't want to book a one-on-one for. That's fine. Ask each other, right? Because you guys are all at different stages here, and we're all so close to the finish line. And so don't be afraid to lean on each other for that. Okay, great work. I'm gonna stop your share. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna loop back here. Naj, were you able to sign in? You're on mute.
Yes, I am.
Cool. Do you want to? You sure you are? There you are. You're on mute.
Is it working now?
There you go.
There you go. I can't get my backend to run, so I don't really have much to show.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Where's your back end error? Like, how far into the setup have you gotten?
I have no idea, Max. I'm super frustrated. I'm done.
Okay.
Done with this for today.
No problem. Schedule a one-on-one with me. We will get you caught up.
Oh, man, stop. Okay.
What are you talking about? I saw your back end running.
No, it's not working on my browser though. It's like, oh my God, I'm over it. It's running on my terminal just fine, but not my browser.
I think you have more done than you're giving yourself credit for.
It's a whole bunch of Oh, Jesus Lord. Something's working. I don't know where it is though. So yeah.
Schedule a one-on-one with me. I think you're not giving yourself enough credit, because just in that brief flash of the screen share, I saw all those files created. I saw your endpoints working. I saw that you had your import started. I saw it's working in the terminal. So
I don't know where any of that is.
that's okay. Schedule a one-on-one with me. I think we'll get you caught up. I won't ask for a show of hands, but I can tell you that there is more than one student in the class right now that I have slingshotted them for their backend, getting them set up and running. So you're not alone. Grab a one-on-one with me. We'll get you caught up. We'll get your fetch working. You'll get that check mark, that cross off the list for the capstone, and then you get to choose where you want to focus it. So don't stew in the frustration. We'll get you caught up. Brandon, are you able to screen share now?
Yay, okay. So yeah, I'm also not up to requirements right now. I realized I had some issues with the passcode, like my nav bar got messed up. So I've been desperately trying to figure out what the issue has been with that.
But look at how pretty it is. Oh, sorry, I got distracted.
I appreciate that, thank you. But yeah, so it's mainly that. Still working on the back end because there are some issues there. I don't think they're communicating properly. And I'm also like having a realization that one of the aspects that I wanted to put in, I don't feel like we're able to do at the moment, but I don't know. There could be some like workaround with that using databases like the like plot planner. But I've been trying to think of workarounds with that and I can't think about it. So I'm just gonna focus on getting the login set up.
So here's an idea just to plan in your head, pun intended. What you could do is say, hey, I'm gonna have just a plant page, right? And it's gonna list out 20 different plants that I have in my database. And I'm going to think about, all right, I want the plant name, maybe I want the zone information, and then like a description on it or a picture. You get to decide whatever you want there. And my entire backend functionality is not only going to show up the plants, but when you click add to plot, I'm going to have a little list on the right side of the screen that shows you what plants from your main plant database has been added to the list. Because that's going to check off your requirements. That's going to get a good feel of, hey, I could go on this website and put together a list and print it out and go to Garden Center and pick up all of that stuff, right? Obviously, a lot more functionality that you could add there, but even just getting a plant list in your database showing up in your React front end that's the only requirement. And then from there, you can decide what functionality is important, right? Yes, we might want a more intricate plot planner, but to get started, a list of plants might be a good starting point.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Patrick, I have you up next.
He's still in the breakout room.
Still in the breakout room. Okay. Is there anyone that I missed because I was being dumb?
I could play Rick Astley.
I was pretty proud of that Rickroll, but I don't want to deal with the copyright violation. I'm going to pass it over to Jason just in case he has any comments, and then we can go on break.
No, it's just everyone's doing really good. It was awesome to see the progress. I've been hearing you guys talk about these capstone ideas, and just echoing stuff that Max had said, for layout, really just kind of focusing on the main ones that you want to highlight with the demo. No one's going to know if the other 3 links you clicked on look like, they're just stubbed out. Really just, hey, what's the core functionality? Focusing on that. If you have time to, to really finish out other pages, that's great, but really just kind of focusing on 1 or 2 that really kind of give you the most bang for your buck. Because it's, in my opinion, it's better to have 2 pages built out really well than 7 kind of half built and kind of thrown together. But yeah, no, awesome. And just definitely agreeing with Max, if you're not able to, because I know a lot of you guys have pretty ambitious capstones, kind of grabbing the ER data, grabbing the coupon data. There's nothing wrong with like, look, this is just kind of a sample database I threw together of like what could be coupons, like version 2 is going to be, next steps. Like, I know I say it all the time, but for hackathons, like you never, if you have a set amount of time, you never hit everything you want to, but really just kind of taking, displaying the information and then really saying like, hey, if I have more time to work on it, I'd like to do A, B, and C. That's never a bad thing. It shows like, hey, you did a good job with the time you had, you have plans for how to develop it. Just great work. Really excited to see, your guys continue progress in your capstone demos for graduation.
It only took me 25 different hackathons throughout college, throughout getting started in my professional career to realize that no one's going into your code, right? No one's seeing all the comments and all of the, oh my God, why isn't this working? And the tears that you've put into your code. All they're going to see is what you're going to demo for them, right? And while it's a requirement to get 1 full stack flow happening, that's it, right? Yes, there's more information you'd like to get in the database. There's always more functionality that you want to add. But to Jason's point, right? This is a couple-minute demo. This is at graduation. Most of the people in the audience aren't really going to know if it's good code or bad code. They're not going to know the difference between full stack and front end and back end, other than a 10-minute lesson that I subject everyone to just to give context to everyone attending. So, don't stress over this. You guys are all much closer than you think. And almost all of you have your back end started, right? You know what classes you have to do. You have your next action steps in place. That's what true engineering is about, right? There's always a to-do list, but knowing how to break down that to-do list and figure out what to work on next, that's the skill that you guys have been learning throughout all of this, right? This is not, oh, I just learned JavaScript. This is, oh, there's no way I could have accomplished this project at the beginning of this cohort or even a couple weeks ago, right? So I think it's important to reflect on everything that you've learned and being able to say, oh, wait, we did this in week 19, day 4 or day 3. Let me go back to that video, right? And the fact that you can listen into that video and accomplish those steps is monumental, right? That's a major kudos to you guys. So yes, we're nearing the finish line, but give yourself some credit, right? Almost all of your capstones have met the requirements, and now it's just, hey, where do I want to focus in? What functions do I want to add? So keep up the awesome work on that. That's all I've got for you guys. We can go on break, be back at 7:25, and I have added an option for what we are going to do after break. So we will vote on that as soon as we get back 7:25. See you soon.
All right. See you guys.
Dennis, like
book 2 25-minute meetings because it will take us a little bit to get that feature working.
Sure. Thank you.
And Sona, you're up first.
Do you mind if we can go through kind of like making an API call from our front end to our back end?
Sure.
I feel like that's a lot of I feel like everyone is
want
stuck
to do
there.
it in your code, or do you want me to pull up the blog and do it in my own?
And I don't know where I'm stuck. Like I don't know where I left. I mean, we can do it on my code, but it's up to you. I don't care because either way I'm gonna have to watch this over again.
Let's do it in yours, just so it's a little bit more like hands-on with seeing it. So go ahead, share your screen, and then I'll request remote and we can work through it.
So this is my front end and this is my back end, and I hate this thing so much. So much. Okay.
You always look like a crazy person when you're screen sharing because that window doesn't show up on the screen share. It just covers everything of your stuff.
I
So you're
know.
like, I hate this window. And it's like, there are only 2 windows open, Exona. I don't know what you're talking about.
I know. I
Okay.
am a crazy person.
Let me request a remote. So you already have your model set up, which is good. So for anyone else following along, Exona is a step ahead because she's got her db.js set up. We've got some models in here and we've got this db.sync working. So what all of that means is that when we go over to Beekeeper, we can see all the different tables that have gotten created. So I'm just going to create a dummy user for now. This isn't the functionality that you probably want, but it is going to demonstrate kind of the data flowing from the back end, from the database to the back end to the front end. So I'm going to create a new user here. And I'm just going to say max@zane.tech. This password you probably are going to want to do with bcrypt and hashing, and that's
I will.
day 3 or 4 or whatever, but
Cool.
I'll just put secret in here for now. And it's my brain age, not necessarily my real age. I'm gonna just, will it let me? Nope. It needs, this is set to an int, which may be causing some issues. But it should let me just do that. And phone number, you're gonna want to store as a string instead of an int. Because this number is too big for an integer.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna do 555 for now. See if that will
Also,
let me.
I can actually change it really quick if you don't mind, really quick.
Sure.
If I can take control. So if you go to structure here, it will pull up, and then all you do is literally like choose the structure that you want. Update it. There's an update button somewhere, and then it goes back to whatever you just picked. I didn't know if you knew that.
Very, very good tip. So let me just show that again. If you guys need to change the data types here, 2 things you can do. You have to go to structure, and then you can change your data type in here. So this one, we're going to set to a varchar. No, we're not. Varchar 255. Phone number will also set to a varchar. And then, is that all I said? I think that's all I said. And then the other thing that you need to do, though, instead of just changing it in Beekeeper, you will also need to go to your backend and go to here and update the information here so that it syncs up. Because otherwise, SQLize will be like, no, that's not the data type that the database has, and it will cause issues. How could I have possibly broken that? Server.js 18.
Yeah, I this is where I messed up. This is where I was like, okay, I'm done.
Okay, we're gonna just comment that out for now. Okay, so you're back in business there. I am gonna create a dummy user right in here. Will it let me? Okay, so I don't have all the fields filled out here, but at least we've got a starting point. So there's 2 ways of thinking about this. You can either start in your front end and work your way to the database, or you can start in the database and work your way to the front end. We're doing the latter. So we got dummy data in here. So now we say, hey, well, in order for a fetch request to come in, we've got to be able to tell the server that the front end wants to be able to get the users. And in order to be able to get the users, there's got to be a async recres. And we're going to say the const of all the users. And then we use user that's getting imported from the database up here. And we say find all of them. And because
Mhm.
we're working with the database, we make it await, and then we res.send back all the users.
Mhm.
Okay, now we've got that endpoint, right? We've got a hole in our backend to reach into our database. So we go back over to our front end, and I'm just going to throw this right on your homepage. Whenever we make an API call, we're probably making it when the page first loads. So in order to pull that off, we need a use effect. Notice that auto imported. If you ever get a cannot find function use effect or something like that, it's probably
Mhm.
because you're missing the import here. So
Mhm.
we say use effect, and we
I
make
can't see
sure.
any of that because of that little thing, but go ahead.
Oh,
I'm
you
listening.
want to move it?
Yeah, let me, I hate this so much. No, go down there. There you go.
Okay.
Oh, wait. There we go. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're good. And then in here we do our thing like make API call,
Mm-hmm.
and we make that async. And the only reason we need to do this is because useEffect doesn't like us putting the keyword async up here. So we have to like make our own little API call inside the useEffect. So then we say const response equals await a fetch. And we say, hey, we're going to go to our backend. Oops. On localhost 3001. And why is it 3001? Because it's listening to 3001 over here. So we say, okay, and we want to get what information? The users. So this users here lines up with this users right here.
Mm-hmm.
So we then say our data is going to come from the response.json. And then we say now that data we want to show up on the screen somewhere, right? We want a list of all of our users. So whenever we have interactive data, whether it's something the user is typing in that we want to be able to capture, or whether that's data coming back from our API that we want to show up on the page, we use state for that. And so we'll say const users and set users comes from a use state, and that also auto imported up here. And that's going to be an empty array to get started, right? Like we don't know what the users are until this API call happens. Then we can say set users to our data dot users. Where does this dot users come from? That's the users right here.
Okay.
So then the last thing we do is we've got to get the users to show up on the page. So we say, hey, go map over all the users, which gives me access to the individual user. And what I want to show up for each individual user is a list item that has the user dot. And now it's like, all right, what do we do with that? We go to users and we have access to all of these different fields in here. So let me say user.first name. Make sure your casing lines up here. So lowercase n, so you're good there. And then if I wanted to, I could put a dash and I'll use the user dot date of birth. And if all of this works, when we go back to your Chrome and we go to your home page. Okay.
My home is different. The home is the one page that I don't have anything in.
That's fine. That's just because I put this in here.
Okay, perfect.
I'm not sure why.
Date of birth is has an F at the end. Yeah.
And we don't need the $sign because we're in React, not in the template literal. So this is a good example. And then if we just like duplicate this,
Clone row.
oh yeah, where was that? Clone row, that's what I meant. Thank you. And we say Zona, And we make you a super millennial the 2000s. Now, when we refresh that page, you show up here automatically because we went from the database to the front end. We can also trace that code through the front end all the way to the database. So we say, hey, when the page first loads, we make sure we include the empty array here. So it's only happening when the page first loads. Go make a fetch call to the users. So we go 3001, that's coming over to our server.js. Our server.js lines up with the users here. It goes to the database and uses our user model to get all of this information and puts it in the users. So what's in our users, everything that is in our beekeeper over here. So the beekeeper information sends it back to the response. We go back to your front end code. The response gets set into the state. The state uses users, which we handle down in the map. So we go over each one of the individual users. What do we want to show up for each user? It happens to be their first name and their date of birth. And then we should also technically use a key here. And because we're using the database, an ID is usually the best key.
Gotcha.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. I can't speak. So how would they do it? If it was from the front end to the back end, like if someone signs up, how would it show up? Like that's my thing. So I'm thinking of it more of like from a user perspective.
Yep. So think about this as, hey, I've got all of my schools loaded up in the database. I want to get those schools to show up in my front end. That's what this example flow would be.
Gotcha.
This is your R of CRUD. What you want to do is focus on the C of CRUD, which is the create. So what you would do is you would go to your, where's your create account? It's right here.
Top.
So what you would need to do, and I'm just going to kind of stub this out. This won't be fully functional, but what we need to do here is we need access to whatever they type in. So we need to say, hey, we need, because it's interactive, because the user has data that they're updating, we're going to say email and set email equals a use state that starts out as blank. Then in the email, we add the value of email and the on change that gets the event and sets the email based off the event target value. And Prettier does its magic, makes that much easier to read. So now we've got access to whatever they type in. So we go to this form and we say, hey, instead of this action thing going to nowhere, we're going to say on submit, form submitted. And that knew that looked wrong. Okay. Then we got to tell it, okay, what happens when that form is submitted? So we say const form submitted is going to be an async function that gets the event, and we event prevent default to fix the refresh from happening. And then we got to do our fetch. Now this is a good review for everyone, right? Of like, how do I create something new in the database based off of what the user types in? So what we're going to do is we say our const response is going to await a fetch. And now we've got to say it's still going to localhost 3001, but now it's going to go to like create, or let's just say users. But because we're sending some data with it, we're going to say the method is post because we're going to create a new user. And we've got to tell it, hey, we are going to send you a content type of application JSON. And we're also going to send you a body, which is going to be stringified using the information of the email. Where's the email coming from? That's coming from state. How do we update the email? We use set email. Where do we set the email? We set it on the on change. So this is the front end flow where we go from the on change into the value. Then we say when the form is submitted, go use the values in state to send it to the backend. So now we got to line that up on the backend itself. So we say server.post users. Now that won't conflict with this because we're properly setting the method in the front end. And so over here, we would say, we still need async because we're going to do something in the database. But instead of using find all, we would say something, we always got to send something back. So I'd say like account created true. And then in here, we would say await user dot create, I think. And we say the email, and we want to make sure it lines up with the model, right? So it's capital E in here. So we got to use that in here. So capital E for the email. Where's that email coming from? The rec.body.email. Well, how do we know what's in our body? What's in our body is whatever's getting sent over here.
Should that be capital too?
It doesn't have to be.
Okay.
This needs to line up with this. This needs to line up with
User
email here.
Okay.
So if all of this works, hypothetically, we could, now I only have email wired up here, right? I don't actually have anything else. Do you know, is it this one? Yay. Okay. So I'm going to just type in some example email and hit the submit button. And while it doesn't look like anything happened, because you probably want to do a navigate to and take them to the home page or whatever.
Yeah.
What should have happened is if we refresh in the database, it makes a complete liar out of me and does nothing. That was a lot of code to work on the first try.
You put the information on the name instead of the email.
What's that? Oh, you're totally right. Thank you. Let me take that and put that in the right spot. Good catch. Email.
When you put the information in the front end, you placed it in the name itself. You didn't place it in the email part.
Oh, well, your placeholders are a little off. So all of your placeholders say enter full name, but the labels above them are different.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say email in here and then put that back in. And then let's see if I can get it in the right spot this time now that I know it's labeled right. Okay. So this, the first one is the one that we've got wired up to state.
I'll have to fix those.
Yeah.
I
For
might
your
have just copied
password,
and
please
say-
enter your full name. And then for your first name, please enter your email.
Yeah.
Okay. Submit and come over here and refresh. Still not working. Okay. Let me go back. I have a bad feeling your form submitted isn't running, and that might be because your button doesn't have a type of submit on it. And so it doesn't really know that it should submit the form in. See if that does anything. Submit.
Please work.
Refresh.
Oh my God.
All right, let's go. Let's see if there are any errors. I'm gonna clear all of this out. I'm gonna submit. Nothing there. So let's go to our network tab and hit submit and see how nothing is popping up in the network tab. It's
Mhm.
not like triggering our API call. So something must be wrong.
In the code.
Isn't it always? Okay, we've got your button is type submit, the form is there. Oh, do you have all of these are marked as required? So I don't think it's letting you submit the form because I don't have inputs on.
Oh, on all of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
So let
Okay.
me just, even though none of this information is getting sent to the back end, it's still requiring it to be typed in here. Aha. Well, it failed, but we have progress. So let's go back to the console. And you've got a connection refused, failed to fetch. So we're close. That's all running here. Now we've got a crash here. Cannot read body email. And that may be because we've told our server to use cores. We didn't tell our server that heads up JSON is coming in to the body.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever we get this is the practice of reading the error, because you would normally look at this and go, cannot read properties of undefined email. Oh, there must be something wrong with the email that I'm sending in. The problem isn't with email. The problem is that it can't read the body to get to the email. And so that's adding in the JSON parser. So let's try again. All the information is in here. I'm going to clear it out. I'm going to hit submit. No errors. We come over here, and now your John Doe is in here.
Yay.
Now, if you ask me to update and delete, I'm going to be really mad. But that should get you a good flow. And not only is this working here, but because they're actually paired together, if we go back to our homepage, well, John Doe doesn't have a name, but you can see that information actually showing up on the homepage. Now, obviously, for you wouldn't want all the users' information to show up on the homepage, but you don't want full CRUD operations for every table in your database. Sometimes you just want to be able to create an account, and then you can use the read operation as part of your login, as opposed to just getting everything to show up on the page.
Okay.
So that's a really good recap for everyone to say, hey, how does this whole full stack flow work? Well, we just did a create flow and a read flow and went from full front end to back end to database to back end to front end and rendering all of that.
Thanks.
Good question. Albo, what's going on?
All right, as you saw with my project, I have two problems.
Mm-hmm.
One might take too long, which is the database tables all up into the one thing.
I don't think that's going to be too hard. Share your screen on that. I think we can get to the bottom of it pretty quickly. So we are.
So this is my front end, this is my back end and server.
Okay. Let me request remote. And what like contact you said is going into the wrong one?
So my contact form is doing it correctly.
Okay.
Now my food bank update is showing up in my pantry updates.
Okay, so let's focus in on that one. So food bank update, you are doing your fetch to pantry update.
Okay.
but you want to do that to food bank update. But when we go to your server.js, you do have your food bank update as a get and as a post. So all we should have to do is swap those out and then try that in your browser and see if it works. We get so many endpoints here that, you know, we have to line up the front end request to the back end request, and then the back end endpoint to the correct database model. Boom. Good work.
And then, so I'll look at that for the other ones because the new pantries is doing the same thing and my sign up is not working.
Okay. Take me to that endpoint and to that fetch on the front end.
So sign up here and sign up is right here.
Okay.
Get it in the server. Right there.
Okay. So that's coming in there. Got your values. Email. Okay, that all looks right. Got your rec. You're doing it all there. Okay, let's just try it in the front end. Is it / sign up? And then
The next one, because this is the login. Yeah, that one.
okay. 123 a.com 123 123 continue, and
It should go to in Beekeeper, but it shows up usually in another one. It doesn't show up at all. Well, it's showing up now. That for me. I was
so
crazy doing the same thing over and over again.
maybe you fixed that and didn't realize it.
Yeah. All right, I'll look at the other ones and see if the endpoint on the local host 3001 is different. All right,
Cool.
thank you.
Good work. Kalai, what's going on?
I just have one question, 2 questions actually. So do I need to use you did 2 steps for Exona, like the get and post. So if I have to make the patient's name, do I need to do get or post?
You need to post in order to create the new patient, but then you would need to do a get in order when the page first loads to show the list of all the patients that currently exist.
Okay, post and get.
Yes. So
Okay.
post for making a new patient, get for, hey, when the page first loads, that drop down should have all the patients' names in it.
Okay, sure. Do you also mind showing, like adding some CSS in the React Max?
Yeah, sure. Share
Yeah.
your screen.
It doesn't have to be mine, but anyway, I can share.
So the only, when you're asking about CSS, are you asking about inline CSS or CSS in a separate file?
Both. It's just like CSS is not working, so that's why mine looks so bad.
Okay. So when we do it inline, the only difference is that we need to do it with an object instead of a string. So if we wanted to make this H1 pink, instead of doing our quotes and saying color pink, we can't get away with that in React. So instead, what we do is we convert it to an object and we say, hey, the color here is going to be pink. And then because it's an object, this has to go in quotes. Okay. So if we switch you back to your browser, oh, I can't see where I'm command tabbing. Can you pull your browser over to this window or this monitor?
I don't know whether my browser is. Okay, maybe I have to restart the browser. So I don't
Yeah,
see
that's
my
fine.
browser.
Go for it.
Before you shout at me, I just.
You did the right thing. Okay, and then I did that on your home page. So if we just switch over to home, you can see the pink is now working. So that's one way to do it, is you make it an object. I'm going to set this back to white just so it doesn't look wrong, but you can use that as an example. The other thing that we can do is we can do it in our CSS. So you've got that going on in the login screen already. And this should apply exactly the same. So you've got a label in here. So we should be able to just go here, target the label.
Is it not going to target all the label?
It will. So I'll show you the trick for that. So if we do our color as purple. I am so tired I can't spell. Okay, there we go. And we go back to your login page. Why aren't my labels purple? Here's the problem. It will ignore everything in this CSS file unless you import it up here at the top.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's.
I think that's what's tripping you up. So now that we've got it imported.
Max, does it import it as SCSS or as CSS? Does it compile before?
No, Webpack will pull in the
Okay.
SCSS and then translate it. That's a good question, though. Let me restart it because you do need to install SCSS, but normally it gives you an error message about that.
I think I did install. I did install with Caitlin, so.
I think you did too, because it's normally pretty good about telling you when it's not working. We are on the right login page, right?
I guess. Yeah.
I take out an L there. Something's off.
You can do it in the home page and see whether that it works there.
Do you have 2 logins? Yeah. Sorry, I'm in your old one. I need to be in this one.
Okay.
So this one is where we'll import your login.scss. And now that's broken because it doesn't like this background image. But okay, now we're back in business. So now that it's applying it. So your trick is you do have to import it up at the top here. But then what you were saying is, well, if we apply it to label, what if I only want it to apply to labels on the login screen? I don't want it to apply to labels everywhere across the website.
Yes.
Well, the way we fix that is if we go in here, whatever the top div that comes out, we say, hey, that's going to have an ID of login. Then we go to your SAS and we say only apply these things when they're inside the ID of login.
Okay. Sure.
And this, if you, one, make sure that you have your ID added to the div, and 2, make sure that you've got the CSS imported, that will make it so labels on other pages won't get affected by that CSS.
Sure. Thank you, Max. Thank you so much.
Yep. Brandon, what's going on?
Okay, so I just needed I needed a little help with two things. I So first of all, the nav bar, I found one that's like a React nav bar, but it's not working. And every time I would try it, there was just like a million errors. And it's just like, oh, it's been called, but not defined, but I did define it and all that. So I just need to see where I'm going wrong.
Using React code is using non-bootstrap code is tricky. Go ahead, share your screen. We can take a look at it.
It's like
But
a bootstrapped React thing, because I found one for the carousel and it works fine, but the nav bar is just actually giving me hell. Oh wait, no, it's here. Actually,
so is there a reason why we're not just using the regular bootstrap nav?
because I mean, I tried that initially, but it just wasn't showing up. So I kind of was just like, maybe if I try this, it'll work.
Uh,
I mean, if it'll be less of a headache to just.
so
Yeah.
if we already have your bootstrap in here.
Okay.
So I mean, in theory, all we should need to do, let me look at so your router goes to your home page. Your home page has your carousel on it, but we've got your nav bar kind of hanging out here. We don't want to console log your nav bar. We want to put your nav bar as a component.
Okay. That was another issue. I wasn't sure where to put it.
So let me take this out. I need to import that. You made it its own separate component, which is a good idea so that you can reuse that on different pages. But now we've got to not only import that component, but say, hey, where does that component show up, right? We want it to show up on the home page inside a container. So
Okay.
I'm going to save that. Do you have this running already?
Yeah, it's on Chrome.
Okay. Let me. Sometimes Command Tab works for me. Sometimes it doesn't. Is it going in the right direction?
Oh no, you're good. 1 sec. Oh, there we are.
There we go. Okay. So it's mad about the export. So I think it just wants you to use it without the curly braces. And it's mad about on your home page. Okay, you do a fetch somewhere. Let's find out where that fetch is.
I think that's on the back end.
It is in here. So we just need the async keyword because we're doing an await. So we need it to be labeled as async.
That always gets me.
And now it's beautiful, and I don't know what else you would want from me. So we're good to go.
Awesome. Love it.
Let's look in the console. I'm going to clear everything and refresh. And home line 10. And what do you want to bet? That's our nav bar. It sure is. Okay, so let's look at your nav bar. Take out the form and the button because we're not using those, but I don't think any of that's the problem. I don't love this.
Oh.
There you go.
Oh my God, thank you so much. I was going crazy because I was just like, what am I doing wrong?
Let me clean this up a little bit. The way, like, so if you look in app, or home's probably a better example. Come on, screen share. There you go. We do our const home. and then we do our export default home. And that's what lets us in app.js to import home from up here. So I would match that same formatting, even though the example code that you pulled in here uses the keyword function. I would change this just so it matches and say something like const navbar1, and then now our export default is the same, so that when you import it over here, it imports just like anything else.
Okay. Because I felt like I got so close so many times, but there was just something else out of line. So then I was just triple thinking myself over. Okay.
You were close.
All right. Thank you so much.
No problem. Anyone else have questions? Jennifer, it looks like you're hesitating.
Just trying to unmute myself. Yeah. So I could still use some help with what
Sure.
we're talking about before. I get to this point where I'm like, okay, all right, I got it. And then I go to the code. And then I go, wait, no, I don't. So am I sharing the right screen?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, you're not seeing the blog front and back?
I am seeing animal info, so no, you're good.
Oh, great, okay. All right, so I've got this, that's good. But
Yep.
I have invalid dates.
So we want to focus on, let's go to your beekeeper first and make sure that you've got animals inserted.
I did just do one. Yes. Get over here. Okay. I have an animal.
You do, but you have not inserted that animal yet because it's green. So you need to hit the apply button in the bottom right. And now it's mad about current because that's supposed to be now with parentheses at the end of it for both created ad and updated ad. Database is very particular about its data types.
See, I just didn't remember about that. For some reason, I was remembering current from the New York Times.
Beautiful. Okay, so now we're going to go to your backend code and we're going to look at the server.get that should be using your post model. So that's to post a new post, but if we keep going down, we've got our server.get posts. And so that's what we want to use on your front end. So let's switch over to that code. And we're going to go to your home page, I believe. And do we have a use effect in here? We do. We make the API call, but we don't have an API call to animals. We do, however, have, let me just remote control. Let me just look in your backend and make sure you don't have. No, we don't have an animals yet, which is okay. We kind of co-opted this post and we made that have the animal information in it. So we're just going to keep that theme here. We're going to use that post that we have right here. So we take that, we put that in here, and now because we're console logging out the data, when we go to Chrome and we refresh, we might not have the data showing up here, but I want to go to your console and see what's going on. So I'm going to refresh here and we get this error, that means something's going wrong server side. So
Yeah.
let's look. No errors here, just warnings. And we do have successfully connected. And you're running on 3001. And aha.
Oh, I thought I fixed that one. Shoot, they should both be 3,000 because I had to change it back.
Well, the front end is 3000, but the back end it's going to is on 3001.
Oh, I did not understand that.
So 3000 is our front end, but 3001 is our back end. So now if we scroll up, we get this lovely white screen, but we're actually a step further. If we look inside of this, we can actually see our animals' information.
That's cool anyway.
So we're close. Now that's coming back in an object called posts. So what we need to do is we need to adjust our front end. Instead of looking at animals, it's going to look at posts.
Yep.
Now, when we set all of that in, it's going through and it's looking for the created at and the name and the described as and all of that stuff. That may all line up, and in fact, it does. So it is my, I pull out the football playbook here, but we basically say, hey, whatever we're going to here has to line up with whatever we're going to here. And whatever we're using here has to line up with whatever lines up in here. And everything in here needs to line up with everything in here. And so when all of that lines up, when that fetch request comes in, it goes from the fetch here to the fetch here to the database, from the database to send it back in the response back to our JSON, and then whatever was in that response, it happened to be called posts, needs to line up with whatever we use here. And because we're setting them into state, the state goes up and updates this. This goes down and updates this. And all of this uses all of those same fields that line up all the way back to our database back here.
Yep. Good. I didn't have that right.
You were close. Just a couple little tweaks and you're back in business.
Okay, why do I have all those other error messages in my Chrome?
No. That is because while we're using the animal ID as the key from the database, your initial data up here doesn't have an ID in it. So what I would suggest is now that we've got all this data in the database, we can actually just remove it. And now when we refresh, because we're not using that data without the ID, your warning goes away or your error goes away.
Oh, that's super cool. Oh my God. Okay, I wasn't 10 steps behind. I was like 5. Okay.
Maybe 3. Give yourself a little bit more credit.
I'll take 3.
A lot of like pachinko, right? We gotta, our code is going all over the place. So tracing that through makes it a little bit easier.
So tricky to look back and forth at it. Oh my goodness.
You do get practice with it. I think Doug can attest to the first couple times you do API calls, you're like seasick because you're going all over the place, but you get practice with it.
Yeah, well, that's good. Okay. Thank you so much.
No problem. Fly, what's up?
I have a question about ERD. So I'm just wondering, where am I using the ERD for my like?
The ERD will line up with the models that you use for Sequelize.
Okay.
So you don't actually like export the ERD file, but the information in that diagram gets represented in your models in Sequelize, which will actually end up creating the tables for you in Postgres.
Okay, so that's basically when I use the database and stuff, that's when I use. Okay.
Correct. Yep. The ERD is just a diagram representing the tables and the columns in the database, which we happen to create using the models in Sequelize. Chandra, what's up?
You know how I forgot who it was, but you're fixing their database, right? And you updated the database in VS Code, but then you have
in
to go
Beekeeper.
back.
Well, both in the both in the Sequelize models in VS Code and in the structure in Beekeeper.
I was gonna say, in VS Code, we created the database with like the data types and it automatically updated in Beekeeper. It can't go backwards.
No, it can create new tables for you, but when you update the model, the only way to get the model to update in the database is to use the force true in the sync. But using the force true in the sync will delete everything that's in the table. So if you don't have your database loaded up yet, using the force true is totally fine because it will update all the columns for you. But if you don't want to lose everything that's already in the table, you have two options. You can either write a update table query that will, you can write out the SQL manually to change the column type or add a new column or whatever it is. Or you can use the trick Exona showed you, where you can hit the structure button down at the bottom and manually update it yourself. But if you do that, you also are going to need to update it in the model.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Good question. Believe it or not, you have the last 5 minutes with me before I disappear for 2.5 weeks. Except for one-on-ones, I am still mostly available for those. So now is your time to reach deep into your brain and find whatever your final questions are for me, or I disappear. Albo, what's going on?
I'm trying to create the login page now for the project because I already have the sign up page. So I could actually put in the emails to test a login page. But it's scratching my back end. Pretty sure I'm probably just not importing something right.
Okay, share screen. It's probably something with bcrypt. Stupid encryption. And Schneider, I have not forgotten, I have to dig for that contact code. I only have it for the forgot password flow, but it's going to be similar with using SendGrid. So I will dig up that code and get that over to you.
Talking about the login form, not the login, the contact us form.
Yeah, I don't have example for the contact form. I do have example for forgot password, but forgot password uses a send email anyway. So I will try and find that and get that over to you.
All right, no rush. Thank you.
Login model is not defined on DB19. So let's go 19. Okay, so that should be coming from an import. Scroll up a little bit. Line 8, instead of it just saying login, it should say login model. And I think that's all you needed.
I don't know if I linked in the forgot when I created this again. To change. Oh, I might not have a login page in the front end. Yeah, I do. Oh, that's what was my question. I have the sign up page that has the two things. How do I how do I call the right page? Because it has the login in the top and then it has a create form on the bottom.
Okay. So you need to do two different fetch calls based off of what page is showing.
Yes. So I already did the sign up page, which is the bottom one.
Yep.
For the account create.
Yep. And let me see how we did that. Did we use a state switch in order for the right one to show up?
For the set show sign up or
Yep.
something.
So we do the same exact thing up here. So we say, if show sign up, then we do all of this good stuff in here. Else, we want to do our other fetch to log in here.
So the other one would be the login or the create, because this is create.
No, the create is sign up, right? So this one wouldn't be this should be your login.
So this one is this one right here. So I just need to create this same whole thing, but with these on a different page. Just the email and password.
Yes. Yep.
All right. Thank you.
Because you're not really creating the login, right? You're checking the login to make sure it's a valid user or whatever.
Yeah. So does the server JS for the login look right?
It should be very similar to the login code that we used in class. Yes. That's right. Yep, all of that's right.
Okay, so this might be
Last call for any quick questions before I head out. Still around for one-on-ones. I do have a couple days blocked off the first weekend in March. So I will not be available during those times. Other than that, my Calendly should be up to date. So continue to book with me. I do not go away. Otherwise, have an awesome time with Nathan tomorrow and enjoy DevOps Part 2 and the career module with Laura. I'll see you guys.